requirements being put on government benefit programs.
Andrea Stiles-Puyas directs the Career Development Program at the Mi Casa Resource Center in Denver, an organization that helps low-income families with education and job training. Given the options out there, Stiles-Puyas says there's essentially one solution left to combat income inequality for the working
country that often gets cast in the headlines as hopeless. And this story from Somalia does offer some hope. But it starts with a shocking statistic about a practice the United Nations calls a human rights violation. I'm talking about FGM, or female genital mutilation. According to the UN, 96% of Somali women undergo FGM, but that is possibly going to change now. This week, religious leaders in the autonomous region of the country called Somaliland issued a fatwa, a religious ruling, banning FGM entirely. Nimco Ali is an activist from Somaliland who lobbied for the ban.
It's going to make a massive difference. Somaliland has decided to ban FGM, so that's all forms of FGM, and that's a historic move for somewhere with one of the highest rates of FGM in the world and also one of the poorest countries in the world.
I mean, this was one of the first decisions made by the new president, Musa Bihi, and lobbying for this to happen. I mean, tell us what it was like trying to persuade politicians in Somaliland that this should be a priority.
I was really, really impressed by how conducive they were to the conversation about ending FGM, and I met Musa before I met the others, and I basically talked at him for 15 minutes, and I remember him saying, like, have you finished? And I said, yes. And he said, it takes a lot of guts to come and sit in front of me and talk about such an issue, but I'm glad that you have. And he's a man of his word, and he's actually, released a statement last night saying that now that the religious leaders have clarified it was un-Islamic, now I can really have real legislation on the table to ban all forms of FGM. Realized at the age of 7 when I had FGM that it was just completely stupid, it was weird, but I didn't have any contextual information to think of it as a harmful practice or against human
everybody. Something snow in my way here.
When I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. I was running from my brother and his friends, and tasted the sweet perfume of the mountain grass I rolled down. I was younger then. Take me back to when I found my heart, broke it, hit, made friends and lost them through the years. And I've not seen the boring fields in so long. I know I've grown, but I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real when we watch the sunset over the cars so lonely. 15 years old, smoking and rolling cigarettes, running from the law through the backfields and getting drunk with my friends. Had my first kiss on Friday night. I don't reckon that I did it right. I was younger then. Take me back to when we found weekend jobs, when we got paid. We'd buy cheap spirits and drink them straight. Me and my friends have not thrown up in so long. Oh, how we've grown. But I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, driving 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real when we watch the sunset over the cars so lonely. One friend left to sell clothes, one works down by the coast, one had 2 kids but lives alone, one's brother overdosed, one's already on his second wife, one's just barely getting by. But these people raised me and I can't wait to go home. And I'm on my way. I still remember these old country lanes when we did not know the answers. And I miss the way you make me feel. It's real when we watch the sunset over the cars so lonely.
Real Rock Variety, 93.9 The River, Heinz Marklander. After the break, another long set. Discover new music to start the set, The Killers, and the newest from Nathaniel Rateliff, The Night Sweats. A great new song called You Worry Me. We'll play that one. How about free tickets to see the Dave Matthews Band? It's the DTE Energy Music Theater June 6th, this is the day. Take the River Music panel. It's a survey online. Take the survey, and maybe win those tickets. You can find it on our website at 939theriverradio.com, or you can find it on Facebook, our Facebook page. Take the survey, and we'll automatically put you in for those tickets to see the Dave Matthews Band. Win tickets to the best concerts with the River Music panel.
Wendy's has found a way to make the spicy chicken sandwich even more craveable. How? It's only $3 for limited time. Seriously, right now $3 gets you Wendy's super tasty spicy chicken sandwich. Made with Canadian seasoned chicken, marinated and breaded with a mix of fiery spices. So today, when you're at Craven's, call and ask for spicy chicken. Answer that call with a Wendy's $3 spicy chicken sandwich. Only at participating Wendy's, only until February 25th. Taxes extra.
Hush, really nice person, don't say a word. Jonah's gonna tell you about your bedroom. And if your bedroom is not a dream come true, Jonah's gonna tell you what to do. And if you need a new bed frame or pillows, Jonah's gonna tell you to stop listening to me sing and go to IKEA. What are you waiting for?
Get 15% off all bed frames. Offer ends February 12th. Visit IKEA for details.
Got your winter tires? Why? Spring's around the corner. Not in Canada. Save the tax on the purchase of 4 identical in-stock winter tires at the Winter Tire Clearance event. Install them now or ask about storage for next year. With a GM card, you can defer payments on parts and service on purchases over $250 for 90 days exclusively at your Buick Certified Service dealer. Save the tax and save yourself a headache. Act now. Offer ends February 28th. See dealer for details.
Susie was just an ordinary girl posting snaps with filters. Little did she know.
Jonathan's sister just behind him. But let's forget about all that and talk sports, because that's really what the games are about, right? Carol Hills?
Yes, one sport in particular for me anyway, alpine skiing, and one particular athlete, American skier Mikaela Shiffrin.
And what is your interest in Shiffrin all about?
Well, I'm a skier, and I was briefly a ski racer in my teens, and I've been following ski racing my whole life, and Shiffrin is a complete phenom.
Yeah, in what way? What makes her special?
Well, she's only 22, and she's won so many World Cup victories already. World Cup is the elite level for ski racers. She won a gold medal 4 years ago at Sochi in slalom. She was the youngest ever gold medal winner in the Olympics. She's just unbelievable. And what I was interested in was how she stacks up against European skiers. Alpine skiing has been dominated by Europe forever. So I got in touch with Nathaniel Vinton. He's a former ski racer himself. He was a sports journalist for several years, and he's the author of The Fall Line, America's Rise to Ski Racing Summit. And my first question to him was, does Mikaela Shiffrin deserve all the hype she's getting?
I think she gets a lot of the hype. She's only 22 years old, but she's already proven herself at the previous Olympics, World Championships, and the World Cup Tour, which is really the highest level of skiing.
Shiffrin's a master at slalom, maybe the best slalom racer ever, at least among women. And those are races that involve lots of quick turns, often on ice. Now she's trying to master the speed events, Super G and downhill. Explain for our listeners how different those events are from slalom.
The essential difference is the size of the turns. It's a very different shape to the turns. It's a longer, faster turn that you're going through. You have completely different skis. The skis are much longer in downhill. Downhill ski racing and slalom ski racing are two ends of the spectrum. That's the shortest, quickest tempo of turns in slalom, the longest, fastest turns in downhill.
Has there ever been anyone who has mastered all 4 disciplines?
There is a very small list of the great racers who mastered all of the disciplines. It includes, among Americans, Bode Miller and Lindsey Vonn. It's rare that racers can keep up high performance in all of those disciplines at once.
Now, I want to put Mikaela Shiffrin, and you mentioned Lindsey Vonn, who herself is immensely accomplished. I want to put them into context. I mean, alpine skiing is called alpine for a reason. It started in the Alps, and it's really been dominated by Europeans for almost its entire history. I mean, focusing on women, how does Mikaela Shiffrin challenge that dominance?
Well, the ultimate measure for a lot of ski racers is success on the World Cup Tour, month in, month out, every winter. That's a very high level of ski racing, and Michaela Schifrin is already setting records for the number of wins on that tour. So she is on her way to breaking some of the records that Lindsay...
If it's the break, you can't break me down. I got gas in the tank. I got money in the bank. I got this for you, baby. You're looking at the man. I got skin in the game. I don't feel no pain. I got this for you, baby. You're looking at the man. Who's the man? Who's the man? Who's the man? Who's the man? I'm the man. Who's the man? Who's the man? Who's the man? First in command, my testimony, when I take this stand. Who's the man? 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 I'm the man. Who's the man? Who's the man? Who's the man? Who's the man? I'm the man. Give it down.
Custom built for your lifestyle.
Gets me through the day.
In the morning, it's always playing in my house and in my car.
Real Rock Variety, 93.9, The River. Never made it as a wise man.
A couple other great racers reached the top. It got its own sort of momentum. That at that point, there was much more
Where's your license
of a
plate,
sense
son?
of belonging, I think, on the team. Young racers would come into the World Cup Tour knowing that they could get to number one and seeing a model for how they could do it.
Nathaniel Vinton is a former ski racer and ski journalist and the author of The Fall Line, America's Rise to Ski Racing Summit. Thanks, Nate.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
If you think the competition at the Olympics is tough, consider the concert stage. After all, South Korea is known for K-pop, that bouncy 21st century bubblegum polished to within an inch of its life. And every night of the Olympics, a different headliner will perform after the daily medal ceremony. Boy bands, girl groups, solo artists, and teen idols. The list of Korean acts scheduled to perform in Pyeongchang over the next 2 weeks is pretty long. There's the boy band VIX. And the girl group AOA.
What's going on?
There's Korean American singer Ailee. Yep, every night of the Olympics, if you're keeping track. That's a total of 15 artists, and that's not including the scheduled K-pop Festa concerts coinciding with the Olympics. 2 weeks from now, at the closing ceremonies, you'll see this group, EXO. And
funny, dank.
First News. Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. The White House now says it is not immediately releasing the Democrats' secret counter memo because it contains too much classified information. Released a letter from White House counsel Don McGahn citing numerous classified and sensitive passages. Where the letter says Justice Department officials would be available to help with changes. The House Intelligence Committee wishes to revise the memo to mitigate the risks of its release. So far, there's been no response from the House Intelligence Committee Democrats who drafted the memo. President Trump today says he hopes a top aide who was forced to resign this week amid allegations of spousal abuse has a great career ahead of him. Trump's comments in reference to former White House Staff Secretary Rob Porter. Porter's been accused of domestic abuse by two ex-wives as well as a former girlfriend, charges he's denied. Trump says the allegations were unexpected.
Found out about it recently and I was surprised by it, but we certainly wish him well. It's a obviously tough time for him.
Picture published by several media outlets showed Porter's
The
first
tough time
wife
for this
with a
guy
black
because
eye. White House announced tonight
his
Deputy Staff
dirty
Secretary
laundry
Derek
came to light.
Ryan
That's fucking awesome.
served as acting Staff Secretary replacing Porter. Michigan State University is acting to fire the doctor who supervised convicted sexual predator Larry Nassar. More from Michigan Public Radio's Rick Pluto.
Interim MSU President John Engler has started the process to revoke tenure for Dr. William Strample. Strample was dean of the MSU School of Osteopathic Medicine, which employed Nassar as an instructor and as a sports doctor. MSU spokesman John Truscott says Strample failed to enforce conditions on Nassar's treatment of patients that might have prevented their abuse, even after some patients complained. He says more MSU staff could be on their way out.
It also sends a signal to the survivors that are out there that the people that allowed them to be harmed, we're going to go through systematically and remove them.
MSU faces multiple investigations into whether school officials ignored complaints about Nassar. For NPR News, I'm Rick Pluta in Lansing, Michigan.
The flu season continues to rage in the U.S. That's according to federal health officials. NPR's Richard Harris says the peak of the season still could be several weeks away.
Cases of the flu are on track to break some recent records, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. As it stands, about 10% of all deaths last week were due to influenza or pneumonia. Nearly all states are reporting continued widespread flu activity, and if trends continue, more than 30 million people could get sick with the flu this year. The CDC says it is working to relieve some spot shortages of antiviral medication. These drugs are recommended for people with underlying health conditions and severe cases. People may need to call more than one pharmacy or ask for the brand name drugs if generics are scarce. Richard Harris, NPR News.
Stocks closed higher, ending tumultuous week on Wall Street. The Dow was up 330 points today. This is NPR. Police in Thailand say they've arrested a Russian national accused by U.S. authorities of running a site on what is known as the dark web. He's alleged to have sold everything from stolen credit card information to the hardware needed to compromise ATM machines. Police announced today that Sergei Medvedev was arrested at his Bangkok apartment earlier this month. Justice Department officials also announced indictments against 36 other people involved in the operation. It had nearly 11,000 members who were trading information on 4.3 million stolen credit, debit, and bank account numbers. Months after a sexual harassment scandal rocked Amazon Studios, that company is announcing it has chosen a new female head of TV and film production. More from NPR's Mandalit Del Barco.
Jennifer Salke will be filling a leadership void left in November after Roy Price was forced out of Amazon. A producer accused him of repeatedly sexually harassing her. Two other executives soon followed Price out. As Amazon tries to build its original content, big-budget productions, the company had considered several women to replace Price. The studio chose Salke, who's been president of NBC Entertainment, responsible for such shows as This Is Us and Chicago. Before that, she developed hit shows such as Modern Family and Glee for 20th Century Fox. Last year, Salke helped spearhead an initiative to hire more women directors at NBC. Mandalit Del Barco, NPR News.
Amazon is known for disrupting industries, think bookstores and retail. Now the company appears to have its sights set on another target. Perhaps not surprising given its business model. The Wall Street Journal reports Amazon is now looking at offering a new shipping service. I'm Jack Spear, NPR News, in Washington.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation, celebrating 20 years of grant-making and supporting a new initiative to help retain physician scientists with caregiving obligations. Learn more at ddcf.org.
This is Fresh Air. I'm Dave Davies in for Terry Gross. We're going to remember John Mahoney, the British-born actor best known for playing Mark.
WIDR-FM, Windsor, Detroit. This is 93.9 The River.
When we came home, worn to the bones, I told myself this could get rough. And when I was off, which happened a lot, you came to me. You said that's enough. Oh, I know that this love is pain, but we can't cut it from out these veins. No. So I'll give the say all of the things that we couldn't before. Won't walk away, won't roll my eyes. Say love is pain, well darling, let's hurt tonight. If this love is pain, then honey, let's love tonight.
Discover new music.
93.9 The River.
The National, Day I Die.
Snow is not there. And when I do, it feels like you're only halfway there. Young mothers love me, even ghosts of girlfriends call from Cleveland.
You got a Jeep? Can you do it?
To enjoy it, 'cause I really don't have the courage not to turn the volume up inside my ears. For years I used to put my head inside the speakers in the hallway. When you get tired, talk forever. The day I die, the day I die, where will we be? The day I die, the day I die, where will we be? The day I die, the day I die, where will we be? The day I
What's this plastic shit?
where will we be?
Wow. Some cops. What do we got? What do we got?
That impacts me emotionally. Love it.
Amazing variety. And let it become your go-to station in Windsor. 93.9 The River.
I got guns in my head and they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head and they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't
with great music.
Early 80s, 90s. I feel like I grew up with them.
You still have a taste for what's next.
I'm always looking for new music.
New music.
Real rock variety. 93.9 The River.
Her body was still. Oh, 5 horizons revolved around the sun as he goes to the sun. Now the air I tasted and breathed has taken a turn.
Variety, 93.9 The River. Hey, it's Mark Lander. A snowy forecast, river weather after the break, and another long set. Discover new music coming up from Want the Moon and Lights. It's National Pizza Day. Finally, the one day when we get to eat pizza. Here's some results from a new survey we did celebrating the holiday. Over half, 57% of people say they love pizza. 41% say they wouldn't go as far as saying they love it, but they like it a lot. And listen to this. 2% say they hate pizza. How could you hate pizza? 30% of us say we eat pizza at least once a week. 22% of us can eat an entire pizza all by ourselves. Our favorite toppings are cheese, pepperoni, sausage, mushrooms, bacon, onions, green peppers, black olives, Canadian bacon, and pineapple. And finally, 4% of women say they'd rather eat pizza than have a boyfriend. 3% of men say they would choose eating pizza over having a girlfriend. Whatever.
When it comes to discovering new music,
River listeners lead the way. You're the first to embrace groundbreaking new artists like Charlotte Carter, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, Alice Merton, Real Rock Variety, 93.9 The River.
keeping you ahead of the curve with new music.
It's Sunwing's $1 million beach blowout sale, and we've negotiated unbeatable deals for